Session today will be dealt with mostly from the Telematics Business Studies Grade 12 booklet, and more specifically we're going to work from page 7, session number 2 until page 13, or page 12, or just the top part of page 13. Please, I don't want you to copy the notes that's going to appear on the slides. It's going to be time consuming, and you'll find out that you won't be able to write down everything. What I will do is I will upload the complete resource booklet on the Western Cape Education portal, and the URL for that is wcedeportal.co.za. And if you access that website, you'll get a complete copy of the resource booklet that we will be using during this session. I'm really honored to have a very special guest here this afternoon, and she's my co-pilot. Now, you don't have to wonder what the weather is like in Cape Town today by looking at my co-presenter. You'll get a clear understanding of what the weather is like. But Ms. Steyn, welcome, and thank you for joining us this afternoon. Would you just want to kindly introduce yourself to the learners and the teachers, please?
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Chantal Steyn. I'm a teacher at Kensington High, and I'd like to take the opportunity to welcome my learners, 12V4 and 12V5, to today's session of telematics.
Oh, that's cool. Are your learners tuned in today?
Yes, they are.
Okay, and I believe you've got another business studies educator at your school?
Oh yes, special welcome Ms. Hussein and her learners 12V1 and 2 and 3.
Okay, cool. Chantal, what are we going to look at today? Learners, in front of you is a summary of the work that you should have completed by the end of term 2. Now, business studies is divided into that 4 main topics: business environments, business ventures, business roles, and business operations. You should have completed under business environments recent legislation, the strategies, and the sectors by the end of this term, so you will be assessed on that. Under business ventures, you will be assessed on management and leadership only. And under business roles, you will be assessed on professionalism and ethics, creative thinking, CSR and CSI, team performance, and human rights, inclusivity, and environmental issues. And then under business operations, you will be assessed on the human resource function and the quality of performance. We're going to refer back to those topics. Remember, these are the topics, and these are the main topics. So you can see there's 4 main topics, and each main topic has got topics. And so we're going to refer back to that later. Chantal, what must the learners know by the end of this session? Could you just kindly go through that list for us, please?
So learners, by the end of the session, you must know the 4 main topics, the topics within the main topics, the structure of the June question paper, answering section A type questions, answering section B type questions, as well as answering section C type questions.
Thank you. Chantal, we covered the 4 main topics, just the topics within the main topics. Now, we know under business environments, there are 3 topics. Under business ventures, there are 5, but for June, they only need to know 1.
Yes.
Under business roles, there are
5.
And if I can give you a tip now already, if you are learning the Western Cape writing the grade 12 June examination, I will make a special effort to make sure that I know my business roles, inside out, upside down.
Yeah.
And then under business operations, they will have to know the 2.
Yes.
Now, that 2, can you just give me an indication, what are those 2 topics under business operations?
The 2 topics is the human resource function and also quality of performance within the business functions.
Now, why I ask you to, just to repeat those 2 topics is because you will be assessed on those topics now in June. Mm-hmm. You will be assessed on the same topics during the trial exams.
Yes.
And then on that same topics, without adding any new work, you will also be assessed on that the end of the year.
That's correct.
So if you can make sure that you know those 2 topics under business operations and that 5 under business roles, there's no ways that you can not pass during the course of the year and the end of the year. Chantal, I see there's quite a few people tuned in already, and many of them are saying hi, and they are looking forward to the presentation. But we'll ignore. I see Lotus High School is also tuned in. Lotus, I'm glad you people are tuned in. I am going to make a turn at your school during the course of next week, and I'll be dropping some resource booklets at your school. But please let us know which school you're from and where you're tuned in, and we will give a shout out. Chantal, let's start quickly. Under Section A. Now, firstly, Business Studies, the paper consists out of how many sections? Do we have Section A?
We have Section B, and then we have Section C.
And if we add all 3 together, there will be 3 sections.
3 sections with a total of 300 marks.
300 marks. Okay. Section A. What must we know about? What must the learners know about Section A?
Okay, so learners, Section A is compulsory. It consists of questions on environments, questions on the main topic ventures, roles and operations. It consists out of 40 marks. Each main topic will then be divided into 10 marks each.
I see you've been very cute. You took the first letter of each main topic, and then you've developed a word, the EVRO.
Yeah, the EVRO.
The EVRO. So E is for environments.
Yes.
V is for
Ventures.
R is for
Roles.
and O is for operations. So Section A will consist of work coming from all 4 main topics. Is that right?
That's correct.
And it will be 40 marks.
40 marks, yes.
And then each main topic will have how many marks?
10 marks.
Okay. The type of questions that learners can expect in Section A. Now, I know there are 3 types of questions that they can expect. The one is the multiple choice questions.
Yes.
The second type is where they must complete a statement. And then the third one is where they must match column A with column B. Is that right?
That's correct.
Okay, so let's look at the multiple choice question. What is the instruction that they will normally get?
Okay, so the instruction for Section A would normally be various options are provided as possible answers to the following questions. Write down only the correct answer, which is either A, B, C, or D, next to the question number 1.1.1 to 1.1.10.
Chantal, I think it's important to note when they say write down only the correct answer, then it's only one answer and not more than one.
Not more than one answer because they only mark the first answer.
They mark the first one.
Yes.
So even though the second one is correct, they will mark the first one.
Only the first answer.
Okay, let's look at an example of a question. Would you just take us through that question quickly, Ms. Stein?
Okay, 1.1.1, it reads, Banmi Incorporated is an example of a what kind of company? Now, when you get to Section A questions and you want to get to that answer and you're really unsure, the important thing is that you look at what you know first. For instance, private company ends in the letters PTY Ltd.
Okay, so that would exclude private company.
That would
I
exclude.
think another way of putting it is look at the answers that are most obviously wrong. The most obvious wrong answers, and then eliminate that.
Yes.
Okay, so we know it can't be a private company. It's not A.
It's
because
not
A is a private company, ends with the letters PTY Ltd. Is it perhaps B?
Can't be B because state-owned companies ends with SOC.
SOC.
Yes.
Okay. Now, sometimes, Chantal, instead of writing incorporated, they just write INC Inc.
Yes.
Isn't it so?
That's correct.
Okay. Okay, personal liability could be that, could not be that, but public, what does that end with?
Public company ends with Ltd.
Okay, so now you've eliminated A, you've eliminated B, you eliminated D, and the only possible answer can be C. Okay, let's look at the next one. Expression, freedom of expression and association is a what kind of right? Again, do we follow the same principle?
Of course we do.
learners, I think important is never ever to leave out an answer. If you really don't know the answer, please don't just leave it out. What advice can you give the learners if they don't know the answer of 1.12? They've eliminated economic. They've eliminated corporate. Now they're not sure. Is it a cultural? Is it a human right? What can they do if they don't know the answer? Obviously, if they know the answer, that's cool. We're going to give it to you. Then you'll write the correct answer. But if you don't know the answer, what advice do you give it?
Mr. Momberg, I would say guess. What would you say?
I would concur with you. So how would you guess? Would you say any, mini, miny, mo? What kind of guess would you take? Just a wild guess.
Just a wild guess.
Just a wild guess. I think the important thing, learners, is not to leave out any answers. That answer is obviously D, a human right. Chantal, there are so many tuned in. The SMS number is 31498. I wonder if the learners can give us the answers to that question. 1.13. Do you just want to read it for us quickly?
So learners, the question is, what technique can be used when decisions are made by speaking aloud to an imaginary person?
Okay, so is it A, B, C, and D? I'm sure most of them will know the answer, but it's the one with the fastest fingers. That's good. I've got the score there. Do you see the answers coming in left, right, and center?
Yeah.
I must just tell you that when I arrived there at the studio, it was a little bit late, and I saw you talking to yourself. And that was an example of one of these techniques. I wonder, Chantal, the answers are coming through left, right, and center, and all of them indicate it's C, the empty chair technique. Let's see quickly if it's C. Yes, it is C. Okay, let's give another one. Do you want to read that one for us quickly?
Sure. 1.1.4, this act provides for affirmative action to redress imbalances of the past. Would it be broad-based black economic empowerment? B, the Consumer Protection Act? C, the National Credit Act? Or D, the Employment Equity Act?
I see some answers coming through. There's 1015 and 0683. And which one is it? There's another one coming. 1742 is also typing. They are all saying, 9965. 9965. That's the only one that is correct so far. Any others coming through? I think this one is a little bit. There's another one, 5690, and there's another one, 9965. Oh, they're coming through fast and furious. The correct answers, learners, is the Employment Equity Act. Thank you for those who participated and forwarded the answers. There will be some more of these questions coming your way later on. Learners, that's the first type of question you can get in Section 8, multiple choice. Please practice it. Get hold of question papers from 2014 to 2017. If you can't get hold of those question papers, all of them will be uploaded onto the website. I've given you the address. Please go and source it, download it, print it, and practice. The next type of question, Ms. Stein, is where they need to complete a statement. What happens there? 1.2.
So learners, in 1.2, you need to complete the following statements by using the words in the list below. Write only the words next to the question number 1.2.1 to 1.2.5. So here, learners, you will get a list, and in this list will be different concepts. And from these concepts, you then have to complete the statements.
Ms. Stein, what I see if I look at this list is many of these concepts can actually be twinned with one another.
I see so too, yes.
If you look at marketing,
Yes.
it can be twinned with administration.
That's correct.
It's either going to be marketing or administration.
Yes.
If you look at code of conduct, will be twinned with dress code.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at grievance, will be twinned with conflict. Learnership will be twinned with staff development. And then an incentive will be twinned with severance. I think if you can make that link, learners, it will help you limit the choices that you've got when you need to choose the answers. So let's see quickly. 1.21. When an employee is retrenched, what kind of package must be paid to him or her based on the number of years employed by the business? Please make sure that when you do write down the answer, you write down the correct word. So you might have one word in mind, but you write down something else. You will not be credited for that. So let's see quickly. And do not use abbreviations. Write out the word in full. So let's see. Do we have anybody who's got that answer? When an employee is retrenched, what kind of package must be paid? I wonder if we can just go back quickly. And I remember we linked retrenched. We linked incentive with severance. So it can either be incentive or it can either be severance. I wonder if there's any learner that can tell us what is the answer there. Oh, there we're getting answers coming in fast and furious. We cannot keep track of all these answers, and 95% of them are correct. Balwa said severance, 3059 severance, 1659 severance. Asake from Bongolo says severance. What's the answer? Let's see, what is the answer there? Severance. I think they know their work. Eh? I don't think we can catch them up. Let's look at the next one. Many professions have that indicates appropriate behavior for its members. I wonder, somebody could have jumped the gun already. I think they saw the question somewhere else and then they jumped the gun, because I've got here 9060 says a code of conduct. 6512 code of conduct, 8010 code of conduct. Wow, these learners know their work. Let's see if that's the correct answer. That's the correct answer. Next one. Ms. Stein would like to read that one fast quickly.
1.2.3, and existing employees may gain knowledge and skills from what kind of programs?
Aha. Now remember, we linked two concepts with one another. It was learnership and staff development. And so now you need to choose between those two. Which one? Did we give them the answer? Yes, we are. Let me just see. 8809. I've caught you out. 8809 only wrote staff. Now, if they should do that in the exams, they will not get the marks.
They will not get that.
Yeah, thought you could get away with that, eh? Staff development is the answer. Then that's just the indication of the type of questions you can get in Section A. This last part of Section A will be where you are required to match column A with column B. Chantal, do you want to take us through that quickly? How do you approach a question like that?
Okay, so here in 1.3, we're supposed to match, choose the description from column B and match it with a term in column A. So there, Mr. Momberg, I would say read through the question and see which one you know.
Which one you know.
Yeah.
So would you say choose the description from column B that matches column A. So you've got to go through here. Yeah. Employees may have access to health care. Is that described in column A? No, it's not there. Okay, so that's not an alternative. What I would do, I would go to column A, read through the concept here, and see if any of those matches what is in column B. So I'll say transparency. When is transparency required? I'll go through A. No, it's not A. It's not B. It's not C. Auditing of financial statements are compulsory. Yes, but that does not speak about transparency. Have authority to do their positions. Have authority due to their positions in the business? No. 1% of gross wages? No. Employees may observe religious holidays? No. Value of which assets can be sold? No. Results of financial audit should be made available to stakeholders. That speaks of transparency. It must be available to all and Sunday. I see 7169 has got the answer. 7613 has got the answer. 6144 has got the answer. Well done to those learners. Skills levy. I wonder which one is skills levy. Skills levy has got to do with that 1% of the payroll contributed by the employers only. That's the one alternative. And 1% of gross wages contributed by the workers. So, Ms. Stein, what would be the answer there?
The answer there is C, because the 1% is contributed by the employers only.
Employers only. And we've got 7169. Got it right. And also 61659 and 6073 and 7169. I think these learners are on the ball, eh? I wonder which schools they're from. It would be good to know which school you are actually from, giving us the correct answers. Social rights. Which one would that be? Now, I know it's social rights speaks about health, but employees may have access to healthcare. It's not just limited to employees. Social rights would be employees may observe religious holidays. Would that be a social right?
That would be a social right.
That would be a social right, yes. Collateral. Oh, no, that's a word you don't often hear. Collateral. What is that?
Collateral would be, the answer would be B.
Would it be B?
And it describes it as assets that can be used as security for credit.
Security? Does it mean the assets has got weapons? What would that entail?
It means that when the business wants to make a big loan,
Yeah.
they can use the assets as a backup plan.
Yeah.
Or
Should they default on that loan,
should they default? Yes.
then the bank or whichever institution that loaned them the money can then use that asset
Yes.
and then convert that asset into cash.
Yes.
So they can get their money back. Okay. So collateral would be assets that can be used as security for credit. And then the last one, managers. What are they? Managers, we say, is followed by employees by choice. No, that's not a manager. Which one is the manager, Chantal?
That would be E.
Would that be E? And just read it fast quickly.
Managers have the authority due to their positions in the business.
And we're getting answers from the first time I hear of this school, Aeroville Senior Secondary School. They've got all the answers correct. 7169, 7498. Kensington, Akila Abel.
Yes.
Do you know her?
Yes.
Akila Abel says, sends a shout out and she says she's enjoying this session so much. Learners, yes, so we've just went through Section A type questions, and it's important that you practice these questions and not just come across these questions for the very first time in the examination room. There are many question papers available to you to work through. You can get at least 24 out of 40 for this question. Then you're on your way to passing business studies. Ms. Stein, Section B. What must we know about Section B? What must we know about Section B?
So learners, Section B, there would be questions 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Question 2 being environments. For this term only, question 3 roles, question 4 roles, question 5 operations, and question 6 environments, ventures, roles, and operations. So Section B counts for the most of that mark out of 300. You must choose 3 questions of 60 marks each, which will give you a total out of 180 marks.
180. So they get 5 questions.
Yes.
All of them will get 5 questions. And of that 5, they must answer 3. Now, learners, it's only for learners in the Western Cape where we made a concession regarding question number 3. Now, please go and speak to your teachers, learners, and ask them for the structure of the question paper for June. In the Western Cape, we decided that because we've not covered enough content under business ventures, we've decided not to include that in Section B, but to include that in Section C. We didn't include it as a full question in section B. I must say that as a full question. So what we decided on is that we are going to have 2 questions on business roles. Now, remember, each question is going to count 60 marks. Now, if you've got 2 questions on business roles, that will be 60 plus 60 is 120. Plus, if you look at question number 6, here's another 15 marks. So it's 120 plus 15 gives you 135 marks out of business roles in the June question paper only for schools in the Western Cape. Again, get a copy of the structure from your teacher so you can make sure that yours is going to look like that. If any school has deviated from that, they must please let the learners know in advance, because we do not want any of our learners to be disadvantaged. Ms. Stein, so when studying for section B, what are the important tips that learners must remember?
So learners, when you're studying for your exam as a whole, remember to study content. Many learners obsess about the section C questions, of which you only do 2 questions and it only adds up to 80 marks. So study your content, but practice essay questions. And something new that we've learned from our subject advisor, she always says, new fact, new line, and then study one topic at a time, and then you move on to the next topic. So study all the main topics in a main topic. For instance, if you're studying business operations, then you study human resources, you study quality of performance, and then you move on to the next topic, for example, roles.
Okay, that is good advice, very good advice. We've got some SMSs and WhatsApp messages coming in. Good afternoon, I'm Yonele from Cookhouse. And they are enjoying this lesson so much. Another one, 3276, I'm enjoying this lesson from Senyukele Senior Secondary School in the Eastern Cape. Learners at Yongile, Nompondo, they say they are enjoying it. And so we are getting so many positive comments, and there are even people asking us to go back to section A. Unfortunately, time does not permit us to go back to question A and ask you some more questions on section A. However, we would like to go through section B with you and just give you some tips with regard to answering questions in section B. Chantal? Now, we've taken questions from business roles because I indicated earlier that the June question paper will consist mostly from answers questions out of business roles. So how do you approach a question like that? List 4 problem-solving steps. What must the learners do and what mustn't they do?
Okay, so learners, when you get a question like this, list 4 problem-solving steps. The important thing is to know what the question demands of you. For instance, in this question, it says list, but they're also very specific when they say list 4. And your mark allocation then is also for 4 marks. So you're going to state only or list 4 steps in the problem-solving steps.
Ms. Stein, the steps can be in any order.
Any order, Mr. Mambo.
Any order. So, learners, important because they ask you to list 4. They are only going to mark the first 4. So, if you write down, for example, 6, and the last 4 is correct, they will only mark number 3 and number 4, and they'll draw a line through the rest. Because the question asks you specifically to answer, to write down 4. So when you do get a question like this, make sure that the first 4 that you write down, that is the only 4, and that is the correct 4. So if they should ask you for 5, you write down 5. 6, write down 6. Okay. Ms. Stein, the next question. They like to give learners a scenario or case study. What must learners do when they get a scenario or case study?
Learners, like in 4.2, or when you get a a case study or scenario, it's very important to read through that scenario at least twice. And as you're reading, you take your pencil or you take your highlighter and you underline or you highlight important things that pop out of the scenario. So we're going to read through the scenario on Leah's Bakery. So Leah's Bakery is well known for freshly baked biscuits. Leah, the owner, considers adding birthday cakes to the product range after she completed training in decorative baking. She's convinced that sales will increase and that she has enough loyal customers trusting her brand. However, she's concerned about the cost of raw materials, the reaction of her competitors, and the risk of entering new market.
Okay, so that would be the scenario, and you would advise them to read it how many times?
At least twice.
At least twice. Okay, learners, so once you've read it, then you need to go back to the questions. What do they expect you to do? So, they expect you to apply the force field analysis decision-making technique to assess the change in Leah's product range. Now, the letters in yellow, it won't appear yellow in the question paper, isn't it so?
It won't appear yellow, but for this session, those are the important things in the question.
So they must apply the force field analysis approach, technique, in assessing the change that Leah wants to bring about. Now, learners, what you need to know about the force field analysis approach or method or technique is that it speaks to the pros, and what's the other word?
And the cons.
And the cons. It would be the benefits.
And the challenges.
And the challenges. It would be maybe the advantages.
And the disadvantages.
It would be the summer and the winter. And the winter. But important, you need to indicate all those positive items below one another and all the negative ones or the cons below one another. So let's just see what they did. And the answers you'll get from your case study. You don't have to make up anything. Use the information in the case study and then put it under the correct heading. So, Mustaine, you want to take us through that? The forces for?
Okay, so for Leah's Bakery, the forces for, the positives, the benefits. Her sales may increase. She may retain loyal customers, which means she may keep her loyal customers. She would attract new customers, and then also she completed training in decorative baking.
What I would do, what they normally do when they apply this technique, they would allocate marks or points for each force. So in this case, I'll allocate 1 for sales, 1 for retain loyal customers, 1 for attracting new customers, and 1 for completed training decorative. Because ultimately what they're going to do is they are going to determine which one has the highest marks, the forces for or the forces against. And it's the one with the highest mark, that's the one that will be applied. Okay, so for forces against, what are the factors that we need to include?
Okay, so the forces against, the negatives or the challenges for Leah's Bakery, the cost implications, the reaction of competitors, and then entering a competitive market.
Okay, so now you can see the forces for has got, there's 4 forces, and the forces against will be 3. Now that's important because when deciding which process will be followed, are they going to apply the change, yes or no? They look at which force has got the most points. Now you can see in this case, the forces for has got the most. There are 4 facts there, and there are only 3 under forces against. But if you do it in this way, you can see no studying required, all the information in the case study, and you can get how many marks? 7 marks. Let's look at question 4.22. What does that one say, Ms. Stein?
Okay, so 4.22 is a runner-up question, if I could call it that.
Follow-up?
Follow-up question.
We all make mistakes.
Follow-up question to 4.2.1, and it says indicate whether the change in the product range is a good or bad idea. That's the first thing you must do. And then the next thing is you must justify your opinion by referring to your findings in question 4.2.1.
What would justify mean? Justify would simply mean, why do you say that?
Why do you say that? Or just motivate your answer.
Motivate your answer. So, was the good idea or is it the bad idea? And remember, we are not going to second guess. We're going to use the force field analysis application.
Yes.
Okay, so let's see quickly. They say it's a good idea. Why do they say it's a good idea? Your motivation? What did you say? What do they say?
There are more advantages or forces for than disadvantages or forces against.
Okay, so and look at the mark allocation. I see that it's a split mark allocation. There are more advantages or forces for, or pros, 1 mark for that, than disadvantages, forces against, 1 mark for that. If you only say there are more advantages, you only get 1 mark. And that's why we always say, write your answers in full sentences. The first one, the fact, and the next one, the explanation thereof. Okay, let's look at the next one. 4.3.
Okay, so 4.3 says, distinguish between problem solving and decision making.
These learners are simply brilliant. If you look at their responses, I say they're enjoying the lesson, and it's a good idea because the forces for has proven that the business gains from change. Yeah. Isn't that brilliant?
That's brilliant.
I think that learner needs to be commended, and also that teacher. Learners and teachers, unfortunately, I cannot read through all the messages coming through. It's just coming through fast and furious. I saw Noorder Paul. I saw their name on there. Port Alfred High School. There's Ebenezer High School. There are just so many coming through. But thank you. Please continue sending us those SMSs and WhatsApp messages, and we will acknowledge you. Ms. Stein, we just need to look at the section C. What is important under section C? Let's see quickly if we can run through that one. And I am not getting there. Almost there. Section C. Talk to us about section C.
Okay, in section C, this section counts for 80 marks. There's question 7 based on environments, question 8 based on ventures, question 9 based on roles, question 10 based on operations. So learners, for section C, you choose 2 questions, each 40 marks, and that will give you a total of 80 marks.
Important learners. Now listen, this side, the reason why we're having this session is to give you some tips regarding the June examination question paper. I think you've got some tips in section A. Section B, we said you need to focus on business roles and business operations. In section C, because of what we decided in section B to have only questions on business roles and not ventures, there is going to be a question 8 on business ventures. Now, you've only covered one main topic up until June that is part of business ventures. So the only essay that they can ask you under ventures is which one? Understand?
Leadership and management.
It's leadership and management. So that's the only essay they can ask you. And obviously they can ask you the theories, or they can ask you the leadership styles, or you can ask you both. Yeah. So please make sure that you study that in detail, and you can get your 30 out of 40 for at least that essay. But remember, you must answer 2 essays. And so, Ms. Stein, just go through that. How do you approach a question like that?
Okay, so learners, for leadership and management, if I can refer to the core notes, Mr. Momberg, leadership and management in the core notes is only 4 pages.
It's only 4 pages?
Only 4 pages that they need to study.
Wow.
Okay, so for section C, it says people have different types of personalities and leaders have different leadership styles. Good leaders are capable of adapting the leadership style to suit their followers or the situation. So in view of the above, there are 4 different headings that you must analyze in this essay question. So they ask you to discuss the situational and transformational leadership theories, They ask you to distinguish between leadership and management. Explain the role of personal attitude in success and leadership. And they also ask you to suggest 5 situations. Again, they are very specific. They say you must only give 5 situations in which an autocratic leadership style can be applied effectively.
Mustang, just before you continue with that, I've got here, hi, I'm Lauren Witboy, and she says, I'm enjoying every moment of this session. And half of the learners responding is from Kensington High School, and they say they simply love their teacher. And it's so cool seeing one of their teachers on telematics. Mustang, when they give you an essay, it always starts with a scenario, isn't it so?
That's right.
Always starts with a scenario, and below the scenarios you'll have these bullet points.
Yes.
Now these bullet points are here for a reason, because your essay must be based on this. And these bullet points becomes the heading in the body of the essay. Is that so?
That's correct.
So learners, if you use the headings here, or the bullet points here, and you write it verbatim, situational and transformational leadership theories, write it down as your heading. Difference between leadership and management, it's a heading. Personal attitude, it's a heading. 5 situations in which autocratic leadership styles can be applied as a heading. You know what? You've taken it directly from the question paper, and they will give you 1 mark. Mahala. The other mark will tell you how you get that one later for analysis. But so, it's impossible for a learner to get a note. Because here, just by writing down the 4 bullets as your headings in the body, and you write some information that might be incorrect, you will still get your 1 mark. Okay, Santo, take us further through that. Every essay must have a what?
Every essay must have the word introduction written out in full. Under that introduction, learners, you need at least 2 sentences, 2 full sentences. And remember, for this essay question, the topic was leadership. Leadership styles, leadership theories. So, for instance, leadership is a process of social interaction through which a leader influences others. And then leadership styles are different approaches people take to carry out their role as leaders, or any other relevant fact relating to leadership or management theories.
Now, learners, again, Chantal indicated, or Stein indicated, you need to write the word introduction. Please write the word introduction, and then you must have 2 facts or 2 sentences relating to the question. Now, even if these sentences are incorrect, because you wrote the word introduction and you've got 2 bullet points here, you will still get 1 mark. For Mahala, by simply writing introduction and any 2 facts that you can think of. And so that's why it's important that you do that, even if you don't know the content. Because that 1 mark, the 2 marks, the 4 marks, can mean the difference between passing and failing. Okay, let's take the body. What's important there?
Okay, so what's important is the next heading is situational leadership. You need to talk about situational leadership. And remember, the instructions said discuss it. So what I like to tell my learners, when you're discussing something, you're actually gossiping about it.
Wow. That's a novel way of looking at it.
So now you must tell the examiner everything you know about situational leadership. And then according to this memo, there was a sub-max, which means the amount of marks that you can gain for situational leadership is 8 marks.
The maximum is 8 marks.
Yes, the maximum is 8
As
marks.
a rule, would you say that under each heading, learners must write at least 2 facts?
At least
As a
facts.
rule.
As a rule.
And if they can, include an example or recent development
Yes.
under the heading.
Under the heading.
And that all answers must be written in point form or bullet form.
New fact, new line.
New fact, new line. Okay. Transformational leadership. What is important there?
Okay, again, you'll be going to discuss transformational leadership. And remember, this is the leadership style where a leader inspires, where they, with a shared vision, and they motivate their followers to do more than what they can. And again, for a sub-max of 8 marks. So in total, the situational leadership style and transformational leadership style gave us a maximum of 16 marks.
A maximum of 16 marks. Okay, that's cool. The next heading was the difference between leadership and management.
Yes.
Is it good to have it in table form?
It's good to have it in table form because then the examiner can see the difference immediately.
They can see the difference. So here they speak about the leaders develop new methods to do things, and the manager maintains systems. So this is new, this is sticking to the old. The leader focuses on people, the manager will focus on systems.
Yes.
The leader inspires trust, the manager relies on control. The leader challenges the status quo, the manager accepts the status quo. So it's important that you write it opposite each other so that the difference becomes very obvious. I must say there's Yusra Noordin. This session is very helpful, and I believe we are going to pass business studies because of this. And she's saying thank you very much in advance. Yusra, that's super cool to hear that, young lady, and everything of the best for the exams. Ms. Stein, every essay, and we spoke about the different headings coming from the bullets in the question. So learners should then make sure that they write facts under each of those headings. But every essay must have a conclusion. What's important about the conclusion?
What's important, learners, about the conclusion is we want to see the word conclusion, and then under conclusion you only need one sentence or one fact, and that one fact counts for 2 marks.
And it's important that they do not repeat what was said in the body,
Yes.
or what was said in the introduction, or what was said in the case study.
That's very important.
Is that very important? So it's just a summary.
Just a summary.
Just a summary. Wow, it's amazing how time flies when you're having fun. The responses from the learners has been absolutely incredible. Learners, thank you very, very, very much. Thank you for your time. I know it's a little bit late in the day and you stayed behind quite late and you still need to travel back home. I want to really thank you for that. Thank you to the teachers for staying with them, and for the learners who appreciate the input of the teachers. I think that was super cool. And we also value and appreciate what you do in order to make sure that your learners get the best possible opportunity to pass the June exams and also the final exams. Remember, the June exams is extremely important because it contributes to your final SBA mark. One of the reasons the learners perform poorly at the end of the year is because they go into the exams with a disadvantage because the SBA mark is very, very low. And our learners generally perform poorly in the June exams. There's really no reason for you to perform poorly. Please make use of every opportunity to use the information at your disposal and then to prepare adequately. Mrs. Stein, do you have a final word of wisdom to the learners of the Western Cape, and then also I see of the Eastern Cape and then also the Northern Cape? Final words of wisdom.
From my side, grade 12s, just wishing you well. The words of Nelson Mandela, please do better than your best.
Okay, that is super cool. The learners are just indicating that they appreciate the effort and the time that we took to present the presentation, and also the manner in which it was done, very informative and interactive. They just want to acknowledge also and thank the teachers. I think Mrs. Strutter from Noorderpaal. Ms. Strutter, your learners really appreciate what you do, and thank you for all your hard work. Learners are asking where can they get the PowerPoint presentation, where can they get the core notes. I promise you by the end of the week, both the core notes and the PowerPoint will be on the Western Cape Education website. Just the indication for those who were tuned in lately, if you go to wcedeportal.co.za and you go to Business Studies, grade 12, and you look at free resources, and you type in the telematics resources, telematics PowerPoints, then you'll get all the resources that we've uploaded. In addition to that, there's more than 500 videos that you can use in your classrooms for grade 10, 11, and 12. Learners, that is all the time that we have today. I trust that you've enjoyed the session, that you will be able to write the June exams, and that you'll be well prepared for the exams, and that you'll get the highest possible mark that you can get, so that you can have a good SBA for the end of the year, and also in preparation for your trial exams and the end of the year. Thank you for joining. Until next time, best wishes and travel safely. Goodbye.